The morning fog clings to everything, turning familiar streets into something alien. I've walked this route to the corner store thousands of times, but today feels different. Maybe it's because I'm out earlier than usual, or maybe it's the way my arthritis is acting up, making each step a reminder that I'm not as young as I used to be. A cat darts across my path, disappearing into an alley. Something about its movement catches my eye, too quick, too desperate. Then I hear it, the soft clatter of a trash can lid. Hello! I call out, taking a few steps into the alley. Is someone there? The sound stops. In the dim light, I make out a small figure crouched behind a dumpster. My first thought is it's just another homeless person, but then I catch a glimpse of tangled blonde hair, and my heart nearly stops. Lila. My voice comes out as barely more than a whisper. The figure freezes. I know those eyes. I've seen them in countless family photos, in my dreams, in the missing person posters that still hang in shop windows around town. My granddaughter. My Lila, who disappeared 8 months ago. Sweetheart, is that really you? She's thinner, so much thinner, and her clothes are filthy. But it's her. I'd know her anywhere. Gran? Her voice is rough, like she hasn't used it in a while. I want to run to her, scoop her up in my arms, but something in her posture stops me. She's coiled tight, ready to bolt. Instead, I lower myself carefully to the ground, ignoring the protest in my knees. I'm right here, baby. I'm not going anywhere. She said you wouldn't want me anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. Who said that, Lila? She shakes her head violently, shrinking further into herself. I'm not supposed to tell. She'll be mad. My mind races.
She.
Not they.
Not he. She.
You must be hungry, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. I was just heading to get some breakfast. Would you like to come with me? We could get those chocolate chip pancakes you always loved. I'm not allowed. Her voice breaks. She'll know. Lila, sweetheart, look at me. I wait until those familiar blue eyes meet mine. No one is going to hurt you anymore. I promise. She takes a small step forward, then another. When she's close enough, I can see the bruises on her arms, partially hidden by her long-sleeved shirt. My hands shake as I fight to maintain my composure. Can we? She hesitates, glancing over her shoulder. Can we go to your house instead? Of course we can. I stand slowly, offering my hand. She stares at it for a long moment before taking it, her tiny fingers ice cold against my palm. As we walk the 3 blocks to my house, my mind is already working. I should call Grant, tell him his daughter is alive. I should call the police. But something holds me back. Lila's words echo in my head. She'll be mad. I've known my daughter-in-law Marissa for 12 years. I've never quite trusted her, but I never thought.
No.
I need proof before I make accusations. I need to understand what happened to my granddaughter. For now, I'll get Lila warm and fed. I'll make her feel safe. And then, when she's ready, I'll find out exactly who hurt her. Because whoever did this to her is going to pay. That's not just a promise to Lila. It's a promise to myself. I watch Grant through my kitchen window as he parks his car, fumbling with his keys in a way I haven't seen since he was a teenager. My call had been brief. Come alone. Don't tell Marissa. It's about Lila. That was enough to bring him racing across town at 7 in the morning. Lila's asleep upstairs in my guest room, wrapped in clean blankets, her dirty clothes replaced with an old t-shirt of mine. She'd barely touched the food I offered before exhaustion took over. The back door opens. Mom, Grant's voice cracks. What's going on? I put my finger to my lips, gesturing for him to follow me upstairs. Each creaking floorboard makes me wince. At the guest room door, I pause, watching his face as he peers inside. The color drains from his features. His hand shoots out, gripping the doorframe so hard his knuckles turn white. That's not. It can't be. It's her, I whisper. I found her this morning. He takes a stumbling step into the room, then stops. We should call the police. Not yet. I pull him back, closing the door softly. There's something you need to hear first. In the kitchen, Grant paces while I make coffee neither of us will drink. She mentioned someone, Grant. A woman who kept her somewhere. He stops moving. What are you saying? Where was Marissa the night Lila disappeared? Don't. His voice is sharp. Don't go there, Mom. When was the last time she attended one of Oliver's school events? Or stayed home for dinner instead of working late? The questions I've been holding back for months spill out. Have you checked her bank accounts lately? She's working hard to provide for us. But there's uncertainty in his eyes now. The real estate market has been booming for the past year. I finish. I may be retired, but I'm not blind. He slumps into a chair. What did Lila say exactly? Before I can answer, a small voice comes from the doorway.
Daddy.
Grant's head snaps up. Lila stands there, drowning in my old t-shirt, her face a mix of hope and fear. Baby girl. He breathes but doesn't move. Smart man. He remembers how she spooked earlier. Lila takes a tentative step forward. Are you mad at me? Mad. Grant's voice breaks. Why would I be mad? Because I ran away from the cold room. She said you'd be angry if I left. Grant's hands clench into fists. What cold room, sweetheart? But Lila's attention has shifted to the window. A car is pulling into the driveway. Marissa's silver BMW. No. Lila bolts from the room. I hear her feet pounding up the stairs. Keep her away, I tell Grant, already moving to follow Lila. I don't care what you have to say, but don't let her in this house. Through the window, I watch Grant intercept Marissa in the driveway. Their voices are muffled, but their body language speaks volumes. Marissa's perfectly manicured hand reaches for Grant's arm. He steps back. She tries to move past him. He blocks her path. Upstairs, I find Lila wedged between the bed and the wall, shaking. She can't get in, I promise, sitting on the floor nearby. Your daddy won't let her. She always gets in, Lila whispers. She has keys to everything. A chill runs down my spine as I remember the spare key I gave Marissa years ago. I never asked for it back. Below, I hear the back door open. The first thing I do after Marissa leaves is call Jasper. My hands shake as I dial, memories of that confrontation still fresh. The way she'd breezed into my kitchen like she owned it, all perfect makeup and practiced smile. The way Lila's screams had torn through the house when she heard Marissa's voice. Evie. Jasper's gruff voice brings me back to the present. It's been a while. I need your help. I glance at Grant, who's sitting at my kitchen table, head in his hands. Remember that favor you owe Thomas? A pause. Your husband made me promise to look after you. What's wrong? I tell him everything. About finding Lila, about the cold room, about Marissa's reaction when she saw Grant blocking the door. She wasn't surprised, I say. She wasn't even confused. She just smiled. Don't do anything yet, Jasper says. I'll be there in 20 minutes. While we wait, I try to coax more information from Lila. She's curled up in the window seat, wrapped in a blanket, watching the street like a sentry. Can you tell me about the cold room, sweetheart? She traces patterns on the window glass. It was in the basement, with the boxes. What kind of boxes? Real estate ones. With papers. She stops drawing. And pictures of other kids. Grant's head snaps up. What kids? The ones who were there before me. She said they were bad, so they had to go away. Lila's voice drops to a whisper. I try to be good. The doorbell rings, making us all jump. Through the peephole, I see Jasper, looking more weathered than the last time I saw him at Thomas's funeral. Jesus, he mutters when he sees Lila. Then, more professionally, hello there, young lady. I'm an old friend of your grandmother's. Lila doesn't respond, but she doesn't hide either. Progress. Jasper settles into an armchair, his detective's eyes taking everything in. Grant, I need you to tell me about your family's finances. What does that have to do with? Everything. Jasper cuts in. Your wife's a real estate agent, right? How's business? She says it's good. Great, actually. We just bought a new car. And the money for that came from? Grant frowns. Her commission from the Riverside development deal. She said. He stops, color draining from his face. What? I demand. The development that fell through. She told me last month it was dead, but we still got the money. He pulls out his phone, fingers flying over the screen.
Here.
The deposit came through 2 days after Lila disappeared. Jasper leans forward. How much? $50,000. A small sound makes us all turn. Lila's pressing herself against the window, breath fogging the glass. She's here again. Through the window, I catch a glimpse of silver. Marissa's BMW, idling at the corner. I need to get into your house, Jasper tells Grant. Today, while she's out. If there are records of other children.
No.
Grant stands abruptly. I'll do it. She's my wife. My responsibility. Daddy. Lila's voice is small. There's a hidden door behind the wine rack. That's where she keeps the important stuff. The silence that follows is deafening. Grant looks like he's aged 10 years in 10 seconds. How do you know about the wine rack? You've never been in our basement. Yes, I have. Lila turns from the window, and for the first time, I see anger in her young face. That's where the cold room is. The BMW's engine revs, then fades as Marissa drives away. But we all keep staring at the empty street, the horror of what Lila's saying sinking in. My granddaughter wasn't just taken. She was hidden right under our noses in her own home. And Marissa? She's not just a kidnapper. She's something much worse. The basement door in Grant and Marissa's house stands open like a mouth ready to swallow us whole. Jasper insisted on coming along, but he's keeping watch upstairs while Grant and I descend into the darkness. Each step feels like a betrayal, not of Marissa, but of myself. I trusted her with my grandchildren. The wine rack's over here, Grant says, his flashlight beam dancing across bottles. His hands shake as he runs them along the edge. I don't see any.
Click.
The rack swings forward, revealing a narrow passage. The air that rushes out is stale, carrying the metallic tang of fear. I'll go first, I say, but Grant's already pushing past me. The hidden room is smaller than I expected, maybe 12 by 12. Metal filing cabinets line one wall. A small cot sits in the corner, its thin blanket neatly folded. On the opposite wall, a cork board displays photographs, dozens of them. Children's faces stare back at us, some smiling, some not. Oh God. Grant stumbles backward. These are from her development projects. The families she helped relocate. I'm already pulling open filing cabinet drawers. Inside, manila folders are labeled with children's names. Some have red X's marked across them. Mom. Grant's voice cracks. Look at this. He's holding a leather-bound notebook. Inside, in Marissa's precise handwriting, are lists of names, dates, and dollar amounts. Next to each entry is a note. Accepted payment. Refused offer. Alternative arrangement required. My phone buzzes. Jasper's warning signal. Footsteps creak overhead. Hide. I hiss, pushing Grant toward the passage. But we're too late. I wondered when you'd find it. Marissa stands in the doorway, Oliver clutching her hand. My youngest grandson looks confused, tired. Oliver, sweetie, go wait upstairs like Mommy told you. Where's Daddy? Now, Oliver. Small feet patter away. Marissa steps into the room, closing the door behind her. The click of the lock is deafening. You don't understand, she says, almost gently. These children needed help. Their families were desperate, drowning in debt, facing eviction. I gave them a choice. A choice? Grant's voice is barely recognizable. You took our daughter. I protected her. Marissa's composure cracks. You think social services would have let us keep the kids once they discovered our financial situation? The gambling debts you thought I didn't know about. Grant flinches. I step between them, my mind racing. Where's Jasper? Why hasn't he burst in? The other children. I say carefully. Where are they? Safe. With families who could afford them. Her smile is almost serene. The system fails these kids. I just redistribute them to homes that can provide better lives. You sell children. The words taste like acid. I save them. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a phone. And now I have to save Oliver too. The screen shows a video feed, Oliver in the back of a car, someone else at the wheel. My associate will take good care of him until this blows over. Her voice hardens. Unless you'd prefer I call the police? Tell them how you kidnapped Lila. Turn my husband against me. They'll find this room, Grant says. Will they? In an hour, everything here will be gone. Just like it was gone from the other properties. She steps closer. So here's your choice. Walk away now. Forget what you've seen, and Oliver comes home tonight. Or push this, and you'll never see either of my children again. My hand finds the heavy flashlight in my pocket. One swing is all it would take. But Oliver's face fills my mind, scared, alone, with some stranger. Tick-tock, Marissa says softly. What's it going to be? Behind her, the door opens silently. Jasper stands there, his gun trained on Marissa's back. But his slight head shake tells me everything. We don't have proof of Oliver's location. Not yet. Sometimes revenge has to wait. Jasper's living room feels too small for the weight of what we're planning. Maps and documents cover every surface. Property records, bank statements, photographs. Evidence of Marissa's network spreading across 3 states like a cancer. She's meeting someone tonight, Jasper says, tapping a surveillance photo. At the Riverside development site. That's where the money came from, Grant mutters. He hasn't slept in days. None of us have. The deal that wasn't supposed to exist. I study the woman in the photo standing beside Marissa, tall, elegant, with steel gray hair. Who is she? Margaret Whitmore. Jasper's voice is grim. Real estate mogul, philanthropist, and, according to my sources, the mastermind behind this whole operation. They call her the facilitator. My phone vibrates, a text from the neighbor watching Lila. All okay. Still sleeping. We need to move tonight, I say, before they relocate Oliver. Mom, we don't even know if he's there. I point to another photo, barely visible in the stack. A construction site trailer at Riverside, curtains drawn, but a small handprint clearly visible on the window. That's Oliver's height. Grant reaches for his car keys, but Jasper stops him. We do this wrong. We lose everything, including our shot at Whitmore. I don't care about Whitmore. Grant's voice cracks. That's my son. And she's the only one who can bring down the entire operation. I force myself to sound calmer than I feel. If we just get Oliver back, the other children? The words die in my throat as my phone rings. Marissa's name flashes on the screen. Speaker. Jasper mouths, already recording. Hello, Evie. Marissa's voice is honey sweet. I thought you might like to know that Oliver's asking for his grandmother. Isn't that precious? My hands shake. Let me talk to him. Oh, I don't think so. Not until you return what you took from the basement. We didn't. The notebook, Evie. Margaret's quite upset about it. She's starting to question my judgment in handling this situation. A pause. She's suggesting we might need to make an example. Grant lunges for the phone, but Jasper holds him back. You have 1 hour, Marissa continues. Bring the notebook to Riverside. Come alone, or Oliver joins the other redistributed children. And this time, you won't find him. The line goes dead. It's a trap, Jasper says quietly. Of course it is. I'm already moving, gathering what I need. But she doesn't know about the copies we made. Or the GPS tracker you put on her car. Mom, no. Grant blocks the door. Let me go. She'll be watching for you. I touch his cheek, remembering the little boy who once needed my protection. Now I have to protect his children. Besides, I'm just a harmless old woman, remember?
Evie.
Jasper's voice stops me at the door. What aren't you telling us? I think of the gun in my purse, the one Thomas left me. The one I promised him I'd never need. Sometimes, I say carefully, the only way to protect someone is to become the very thing they need protection from. Mom, take care of Lila. I meet Grant's eyes. And be ready to move when I call. Outside, the setting sun paints the sky blood red. As I drive toward Riverside, I think about Marissa's words, making an example. Well, 2 can play that game. Margaret Whitmore wants to meet the opposition. She's about to learn why you don't threaten a grandmother's cubs, even if it means becoming a monster to fight one. The Riverside construction site looms ahead, a skeleton of steel beams against the night sky. I park where they can see me coming. No point pretending this isn't a trap. The notebook weighs heavy in my purse, along with Thomas's gun. A figure emerges from the trailer. Marissa, her designer heels somehow pristine despite the muddy ground. Behind her, Margaret Whitmore stands in the doorway, one hand resting possessively on Oliver's shoulder. "Pat her down," Whitmore orders. Her voice matches her appearance, refined, cold, efficient. Marissa's hands are clinical as she searches me, removing both the gun and the notebook. "Really, Evie? A weapon?" "Where are the copies?" Whitmore asks. "Safe." I keep my eyes on Oliver. He's pale but unharmed, clutching his favorite dinosaur toy. Like the evidence we sent to every news outlet in state. Whitmore's smile doesn't waver. "Ah yes, your insurance policy. Clever. But ultimately futile." She gestures to someone behind me. "Show her why." A phone screen appears in front of my face. On it, Grant's house is visible, illuminated by security lights. A red dances across Lila's bedroom window. "Your choice," Whitmore says softly. "Which grandchild lives?" The world tilts sideways. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" She pulls out her own phone, dials. "Take the shot." "Wait." The word tears from my throat. "I'll tell you where everything is. Just, please." "Mom," Oliver's voice quavers. "It's okay, sweetheart. Everything's going to be." The gunshot cuts through the night like thunder. For one horrible moment, I think they've killed Lila. Then pain explodes in my shoulder, spinning me to the ground. "That was a warning," Whitmore says. "The next one won't be." Through the haze of pain, I see Oliver break free, running toward me. Marissa grabs him, but he fights, kicking and screaming. "Grandma, let go. She's hurt. Take him inside," Whitmore orders. "And get rid of her. Make it look like a robbery gone wrong." Marissa hesitates. "Margaret, maybe we should."
Now, dear.
"Unless you'd prefer I handle both problems at once." As Marissa drags Oliver away, his screams echo across the construction site. I try to stand, but hands force me back down. Through my good shoulder, I feel the cold press of a gun barrel. "Wait," I gasp. "You need me. The evidence." "We'll die with you." Whitmore kneels beside me, her expensive perfume mixing with the copper smell of blood. "You know what your mistake was, Evelyn? Thinking love could triumph over necessity. These children, they're investments. Assets. The families we place them with understand this. They pay well for the privilege. They're children," I spit, "not commodities. Everything has a price." She stands, brushing dirt from her knees. "Even justice." The gun presses harder. I close my eyes, thinking of Thomas, of the promise I made to protect our family. I've failed. Failed Lila, failed Oliver, failed. A new sound cuts through the night. Sirens. Multiple sirens, getting closer. "Margaret." Marissa's voice carries from the trailer. "Police. They're everywhere." Whitmore's composure cracks. "How?" "The toy?" I laugh, though it sends fresh pain through my shoulder. "Oliver's dinosaur. It has a tracker. And a microphone. Say hello to the FBI, Margaret." Her face contorts with rage. The gun swings toward me. 2 shots ring out. Whitmore crumples, revealing Jasper behind her, his service weapon steady. "Sorry I cut it so close," he says, helping me up. "Had to make sure we got everything on tape." Through the trailer window, I see Grant hugging Oliver while officers cuff Marissa. More children emerge, led by social workers, the missing ones from Whitmore's operation. But as darkness creeps at the edges of my vision, I realize we're not done. Somewhere in this network, other Whitmores are still operating. Other children are still waiting to be found. And I'm not finished hunting yet. The hospital room feels too small for all the tension it holds. My shoulder throbs beneath fresh bandages as I watch Marissa through the window, handcuffed to her bed, 2 officers stationed outside. She hasn't stopped crying since they brought her in. "She's asking to speak with you," Jasper says quietly. "Says she'll only tell the whole story to you." Grant stands by the window, his face hard. "You don't owe her anything." but I'm already moving. Because I saw something in Marissa's eyes when Whitmore fell. Not relief, not anger, but recognition. Like she was seeing her own ghost. The officers step aside as I enter. Marissa looks smaller somehow, stripped of her designer clothes and perfect makeup. Her wrists are raw, where the handcuffs meet skin. I was 13, she says before I can speak, when my father sold me to pay his gambling debts. The words hang in the air between us. I sit, letting silence do its work. Margaret saved me. Her laugh is hollow. That's what I thought then. She placed me with a wealthy family, gave me an education. All I had to do was help her save other children. Like Lila? I never meant. She stops, swallows. Grant was drowning in debt, just like my father. History repeating itself. When Margaret offered a solution, you became the monster that once haunted you. I became a survivor. The words explode from her. You don't understand what it's like, watching everything you love slip away, knowing you're not enough to stop it. No. I lean forward. I watched my husband die of cancer, watched our savings disappear into medical bills, watched my son marry a woman who smiled too perfectly and never quite met my eyes. I understand survival, Marissa, but I also understand choice. She flinches. What do you want from me? Names. Locations. Every child you help traffic. Every family involved in Whitmore's network. They'll kill me. Maybe. I stand, my shoulders screaming. Or maybe you can save yourself this time. Really save yourself, not just survive. Her hands shake as she reaches for the water glass. There's a flash drive, hidden in the base of Oliver's dinosaur toy. Everything's there, accounts, contacts, properties. Even Margaret's superiors. Superiors? She was just middle management. Marissa's voice drops. The real power. They're people you see in the news, on campaign posters. Their reach is everywhere. My phone buzzes, a text from Grant. Lila's asking for you. Why tell me this now? Marissa looks up, and for the first time, I see the scared 13-year-old she once was. Because when Margaret died, I saw myself, what I'd become. And I saw Lila in that cold room, becoming me. I move to the door, then pause. The children you helped place, were they all like you? From desperate families?
No.
Her voice cracks. Some were just convenient, profitable. The rage I've been controlling threatens to burst free. But then I think of Lila, of Oliver, of the healing they'll need. I'll make sure Grant brings the kids to visit. I say finally. In prison. They deserve to understand why their mother made the choices she did. And you deserve a chance to become someone they can forgive. Why would you do that? Because revenge ends today. Tomorrow is about healing. I meet her eyes. And because sometimes the best way to save yourself is to save someone else. As I leave, I hear her start to sob, real tears this time, not the perfect ones she used to cry. Outside, my family waits. Grant, Oliver, Lila, even Jasper. They're broken, scarred, but alive. And sometimes, that's enough to start rebuilding. 6 months later, I sit on my back porch, watching Lila and Oliver chase fireflies in the twilight. They're different children now, still healing but laughing more. The nightmares come less frequently. The envelope in my hands feels heavy. Inside is a letter from Marissa, her first since the sentencing. She's been cooperating with the FBI, helping dismantle Whitmore's network piece by piece. 3 senators have resigned. 2 judges. A police chief. Ice cream. Grant calls from the kitchen. The children rush inside, screen door banging behind them. He's different too, grayer at the temples, but lighter somehow. Like setting down a weight he didn't know he was carrying. You haven't opened it, Jasper says, settling into the chair beside me. He still comes by most evenings, claiming it's to check on my shoulder. We both know better. Not yet. I watch a firefly land on the railing. Did you know Thomas kept journals? He mentioned them once or twice. I pull out the worn leather book I found in our old filing cabinet. I found his last entry, written the day before he died. The pages fall open to the familiar passage. He wrote about forgiveness, about how it's not a gift you give someone else, but a choice you make for yourself. Sounds like Thomas. A shriek of laughter from inside makes us both smile. Then Jasper's expression turns serious. The task force found another property yesterday, like the ones in Marissa's files. My hands tighten on the journal. Children?
No.
But evidence.
Names.
Dates going back 20 years. He pauses. They want you to consult. Your perspective on the case, your connection with the families. I'm retired, remember? Are you? He nods toward the house. Those kids in there? They're alive because you refuse to stay retired. There are other children out there, Evie. Other families being torn apart. Before I can respond, the screen door opens. Lila stands there, ice cream dripping down her cone. Grandma, can we read another chapter tonight? Of course, sweetheart. She beams, then hesitates. Is that from Mom? I look at the unopened letter.
Yes.
Would you like to read it together? She considers this, then shakes her head. Maybe tomorrow. Tonight's for stories. After she disappears inside, Jasper stands. I'll let the task force know you'll think about it. I haven't said yes. You haven't said no either. He tips his hat. Thomas would be proud, you know, of all of this. Later, after stories and tucking in and one last glass of water, I finally open Marissa's letter. It's short, just a few lines. I dreamed of Lila last night. Not in the cold room, but in your garden, chasing fireflies. I hope that's real, not just my imagination. I hope she's healing. I hope someday she'll understand that I'm trying to heal too. The investigators are coming tomorrow. I'm going to tell them everything. Not for redemption. I don't deserve that yet. But because you showed me that saving yourself means saving others, even if you have to do it from behind bars. I fold the letter, tuck it into Thomas's journal. Outside, the fireflies are still dancing, their light like tiny beacons in the darkness. From upstairs comes the soft sound of children breathing, safe in their dreams. Tomorrow I'll call Jasper. We'll talk about the task force, about other children who need finding, about justice that doesn't end with revenge. But tonight, I'll sit here a little longer, watching the fireflies, remembering how light can pierce even the deepest darkness if you're brave enough to keep looking for it. And sometimes, that's the greatest revenge of all.
My name is Tonya, and I am post-divorce. And other than that, I wanted to tell it in case you happen to be there where this story reaches out as the voice of a similar situation and says, "Be strong." Perhaps just maybe my story might inspire some help or perspective. All right, so some backstory here. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old. Because my dad was a Navy SEAL, and so he traveled, literally, around the world often. Eventually, my parents' breakup was due to this. Then my mom married a man named Paul, and I went to live with them. Paul was seriously abusive to me. The worst part was that my mom knew about it, but let Paul do whatever he wanted. She kind of turned a blind eye to what was happening in our house. My dad would visit from time to time, and when he did, I would spend the weekend at his place. But being young and naive, I was too scared to talk about what was happening to me, even with my dad. You see, I've always been really close to my dad. He loved me and made me feel like the most important person in his life. When I was almost done with middle school, there was one time when I went to see my dad. We headed to the beach together, and I was wearing a pair of beach shorts. It was then that he noticed some bruises on my thighs. "Hey, what is that on your leg?" Nothing. I just got hurt." "How? That is a pretty rough bruise." I just don't remember." "You don't remember? Are you keeping something from me, Bunny?" "Dad, no. I must have gotten it in PE." "You know you can tell me about anything. I may be away a lot, and maybe you're closer to your mom, but my love for you is just as strong, if not stronger." "Dad, actually, I'm sorry I haven't told you this, but Paul, he's cruel to me." "Cruel? How?" Well, sometimes he hits me. I'm not saying it's without reason. I bear some blame too. One day I left the door open and his dog escaped. He used his belt on me. What? Where was your mom? Well, Mom turns a blind eye to it. Darling, fear not, this ends right now. I'm taking you to my place, and you will be staying with me. I'll have a serious talk with your mom. This ends now. Following that, my father took charge of the entire situation. After legal proceedings, he successfully obtained full custody of me. I moved in with him, and honestly, it was a way better setup. Due to his work commitments, my father had to be away often. During those times, I stayed at my aunt's place, which was just a few blocks away. My mother did extend an apology and attempted to reconcile when I initially moved in with my father. However, she eventually cut me off. The truth is, I was not as close to her as I was to Dad. Anyway, I soon left for medical school, earned a degree, and obtained my license. It had always been my dream to become a cardiologist. Both my dad and my aunt were immensely proud of my achievements. During that phase of life, they were the only family I had. I was not particularly outgoing, but I had a couple of close friends. Given my profession as a doctor, it was my responsibility to be warm and approachable to people, so I made an effort to become more extroverted. To my surprise, I turned out to be quite adept at it. My first encounter with my husband, Justin, took place at a karaoke bar. Normally, a karaoke bar would not have been my top choice for hanging out, but it happened to be my friend's birthday, so we went there anyway. Justin happened to be there too. He needed a partner for the time of his life, and since I'd casually mentioned in front of my friends that Justin was cute, they practically pushed me to do it with him. It turned out to be a really enjoyable night, and we exchanged numbers. As we continued to get to know each other, we began dating, and I introduced him to my dad. After a while, my dad liked him right away. Justin had an inherently likable personality. He worked as a marketing assistant in the corporate world and gave me the love and care that I had lacked before my dad stepped in. He seemed like a very composed and well-rounded individual. He expressed a desire to start a family, and just 1 year into our relationship, he took me back to the same karaoke bar where we first met to propose to me. I think it's time for us to start the family we've always talked about. What do you mean, babe? Tanya, there is something I've been wanting to ask you for a while now. What is it, Justin? Well, when we first met at that karaoke bar, I had no idea I was meeting the love of my life. You have brought so much happiness and warmth into my life, and I can't imagine spending it with anyone else. Tanya, will you marry me? Oh, baby, yes. I'll be completely honest. While some people might find it perfectly okay to get married within a year, for me and the emotional walls I had built over time, it felt a bit early. I said yes at the moment, but had many thoughts about it afterward. I loved Justin deeply. I was afraid that if I asked for more time, he might consider ending our relationship, so I decided to go along with it. We had a very private wedding ceremony. I invited my mother, but she didn't show up, which was somewhat disappointing because, after all, she was my mother. However, my dad was there, and I was immensely grateful for his presence. He walked me down the aisle, and I was officially married to Justin. A year into our marriage, we were blessed with a beautiful baby girl. I remember after my delivery, the room was filled with balloons and flowers as everyone came to visit. My dad, Justin, and his parents. As a new mother, I decided to take some time off work to be with my daughter. That early time with Amanda was incredible, and I still cherish every moment of her babyhood. There's truly nothing as beautiful as bringing a child into this world. It is a testament to the wonders of life. Justin was working during this time, but eventually I had to return to my job. Justin was something else when it came to being a dad. He had this knack for being super playful and gentle with our daughter. I mean, the guy would even let her go to town with makeup on his face. He was a real sweetheart as a dad. But here's the thing, with both of us having to head back to work, we decided to bring in a nanny to look after Amanda. She was a little bundle of energy, and we wanted her to have the best care while we were away. After some time, I got pregnant again, and then out of the blue came the shocker. The doctor revealed that I was not just expecting one more addition to our family. We were having twins. It wasn't exactly what we had planned for, but let me tell you, it sure brought a boatload of joy into our lives. Little did we know that with the arrival of our children, the dynamics of our marriage were about to shift. Justin wasn't exactly thrilled that I earned more than him. He didn't openly discuss it with me, nor did he mention it. But I got wind of his feelings when our friends Carrie and Dylan came over for dinner during my third trimester. So how are you guys feeling about the babies on the way? Oh, we are excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited. Speaking of babies, have you guys thought about names yet? Oh yes, we've been brainstorming. We want something unique, but not too out there, you know. Any favorites so far? Well, we have been tossing around a few ideas, but haven't settled on anything just yet. How about family names? Those can be really meaningful. Absolutely, we've been shopping a lot lately. We've been researching strollers that can accommodate multiple babies. It's been overwhelming, but we'll figure it out. It's amazing how much stuff you need for 2 babies, right? Just tell me about it. Our checklist keeps getting longer. Tanya, do you miss being at work a bit? You know, being a doctor is tough, but when you treat people and help them, it just feels so good to see their smiles. Wow, a corporate worker and a doctor. Do you even manage to find time to make all these babies? Come on, Justin. I'm pretty sure your wife must be the money bag in the house, you know. Well, you know how it is, Dylan. I actually earn more than Tanya. Ask Crew this. Let's bring out the dessert. I could not believe what Justin had said. Why would he just lie about something like that? After Dylan and Carrie left, while we were doing the dishes, I finally decided to talk to him about it. Justin, can we talk for a moment? So what's on your mind? You said you earn more than me, but that's not true, is it? No, it's not true. Justin, why on earth would you lie about something like that? I don't know, I guess I was just embarrassed. It felt awkward. Embarrassed? I had no idea this was such a sensitive topic for you. I am not sensitive. I'm a man, and I should be the one in charge. You've never complained about it before. What has got you so worked up now? I just don't want people to think I'm some kind of loser. Okay, Justin, if it works for us, it works for us. Who cares what other people think? Yeah, whatever. Justin's response left me feeling uncomfortable. It came across as somewhat misogynistic. What was the problem if our arrangement worked for us? I never had an issue with having a husband who contributed less financially. After all, money is not what keeps a family together. At that point, I had a lot on my plate, so I did not dwell on it too much. 2 months later, the big day finally arrived. My pregnancy had been complicated, but eventually, I gave birth to a set of twin baby boys. I held my precious little boys, Abe and Leon, with both my hands in the hospital bed. Our family feels complete. Baby, you've made me the happiest man alive. I love you. It was not all me. Babe, Amanda, look at your baby brothers. Aren't they so cute? Baby brothers. Yes, sweetheart. Do you want to sit next to Mom? Yes. Say hello to your baby brothers, Amanda. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming contentment with my life. I dreamt of being the best mom to all my kids, something I had never gotten from my mother. My deepest desire was to provide them with everything they wished for and shield them from all the bad things in the world. Soon I took the babies home, and we had the whole nursery set up for them. Justin and I both took some time off work. While Justin eventually returned to the office, I didn't. Things got really tough at home, juggling the care of the babies and Amanda. We were in a tight spot financially, and things weren't exactly rosy. I had a strong desire to give my family the best of everything, and I had the means to do so. But we also needed a parent at home to take care of the kids. It was a challenging situation, and we needed to find a way to make it work. The issue was the significant income gap between us. Justin brought in only $30,000 a year, while I earned $150,000 a year. From my perspective, it made sense for me to continue working. I had a good career and a well-paying job with the potential for salary growth. I thought I would talk things out with Justin, and he would understand my viewpoint. But things did not go my way. We had just finished dinner, and Justin and I were in the twins' room to check up on them. 3 kids. We always planned for 2, but I'm not complaining. They're so cute. Yeah, they are. Well, I want to talk to you about something. Sure, what's on your mind? We need to secure all our kids' futures, you know. I know, I might be thinking too far ahead, but we can provide them with better opportunities. We can even help them with their college if they need it. You're right. If I continue with my job, we can save more. And if I work for a few more years, I'll likely get a raise. That would be amazing. But who will stay with the kids at home while we are working? What if you quit working and stay home to take care of the kids? What? Are you kidding me? No, you get along with them so well. What I mean is, I am the man of the house. Just because you have a higher-paying job does not make you the decision maker. Justin, are you kidding me? Can't you see? We would have had a better life if I went to work instead. Seriously, is your ego that fragile that taking care of the kids makes you think you're less of a man? Justin looked really furious, something I had never expected. He raised his hand at me and slapped me right across my face. How dare you say that to me? You're trying to be the boss, aren't you? Just stay within your limits. Do what you're asked to do, and more importantly, listen to me. Justin left the room, leaving me standing there in shock. It brought back memories of the past. I was utterly stunned. How could my husband, the father of my children, someone I thought was the love of my life, do this to me? I am not suggesting all men are the same, but there are some who are incredibly insecure about their masculinity. I was devastated to realize Justin was one of them. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and most of all, fear. I was scared to be around Justin, unsure of what he might do if I made another wrong move. That night, I could not exactly sleep. I spent it on the couch, contemplating my options. I knew I needed to get out of this marriage, not just for my sake, but for the kids as well. I had been through a similar situation when I was young with my mom's husband, Paul. My dad had taught me well after that, showing me how a real man should treat women. Then one of the twins started crying on the baby monitor, and it hit me. We had the baby monitor in the twins' room, and it must have recorded everything that had happened. I had solid proof. The first thing I did was extract the footage, and I got what I needed. Then an idea began to form in my mind. I waited until morning, making sure Justin and the kids were still asleep. Then I made a call to my dad. Good morning, Bunny. Hey, Dad, you're calling me so early today. Is everything all right? No, Dad. Something happened last night. I need help. What are you safe, honey? What happened? Yes, for now. Well, last night Justin and I argued, and things got out of hand. He slapped me. What? How dare he? Why did you wait all night to call me? I did not know what to do, Dad. Sweetheart, remember what I have always said. I'm here for you whenever you need me. I mean it well. Dad, the thing is, all of this happened while we were in the twins' room, and it got recorded on the baby monitor. Bingo. We have proof. We're going to get that bastard. I know some people in law enforcement. Stay put. Where is Justin right now? He's still sleeping. Why don't you send me that video and get the kids? I'm coming. I woke up Amanda and gathered the twins, hastily packing a bag for them. I forwarded the recording to my dad. Anxious, I waited in the living room. Just 15 minutes after the phone call, there was aggressive knocking on the door. As I approached the door, I could hear Justin coming down the stairs. Who's at the door and why are the babies here? What's going on? Open the door. It's the police. The police? Who called them here? Justin rushed down the stairs, and as he did, I opened the door. The first person to enter the house was my dad, and he hugged me tightly. Thank God, honey, you are safe. I'm so sorry. Thanks for being here. Dad, you're under arrest for assaulting your wife. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided for you. Is this about last night? You've got this all wrong. It was just a big misunderstanding. The police officer handcuffed him. Get these things off me. I said, oh, you're going to pay for this. I promise you, I will break your jaw if you ever speak to my daughter like that again. Consider yourself lucky that I did not handle this myself. Take him, officer. My dad drove me and the kids to his place. Both Justin and I hired attorneys, and there was a lot of courtroom drama. Surprisingly, Justin's criminal record included a bar fight where the other person ended up hospitalized for a month. I had no idea of this. As a result, Justin was sentenced to 3 months in jail. I sent him the divorce papers, and not only did I gain custody of my children, but Justin also did not receive any visitation rights. I had a lot to figure out, but my dad offered me a solution. You know, I am a retired man. If you like, we can take care of the kids here until you have something else going on for you. No pressure, Dad. That would mean a lot to me while I figure things out. Furthermore, I've met someone named Kathy. She brings me a lot of joy. Would you mind if she moved in here too? I had already asked her before all this happened, and I was going to inform you. But no, Dad, I'm more than pleased. I'm glad you found someone. You can return to work, and Kathy and I will look after the kids. Sounds perfect, Dad. It has been 6 months since we moved into my dad's house, and a lot has transpired during that time. Justin was released from jail, but did not attempt to contact me. I got back to work, I moved in, and met Kathy. She possesses wisdom and experience, and she's very affectionate. Surprisingly, she also provides me with motherly advice, and it feels like she fills a void. All my kids are healthy, and Amanda has started preschool. Honestly, I believe I might need more time to fully recover from everything. However, on the brightest side, I'm grateful for everything I have. For now, I am just concentrating on my work and my kids. It may take time to heal and grow, but surrounded by the love of my family, I know I will find my way. Mom struggles to get by on her pension. Shouldn't we as someone who can still work assist her? When the somewhat overweight, moderate son of Billy and his wife seriously talked to another child, Billy, about what would happen when an inheritance from their father, this led them all. It does not appear that his words were heard. What do you say? We cannot nymph over our money just because her single has a pension relating only. Exactly. Or perhaps our mother-in-law plans to just dip into our money. Suddenly, the eldest son and his wife looked at me with faces like they'd bitten into a bitter bug. It wasn't a look one should give to their parents. Stop trying to leech off us. It's a nuisance. The pensioner should just keep to herself, except for weddings and funerals. Stay out of our business. Hey, that's enough. Billy chided them, but I was looking down, clenching my fists. Not only do they wish for the death of my husband, but they also complained about the inheritance and then called me a parasite. I must have raised him wrong. I can't stand it anymore. Yet I told the eldest son and his wife very calmly, I understand what you're saying. Let's sever our ties. My name is Catherine. I will be turning 65 this year. I am currently living with my husband, who is retired. He is a kind and considerate person, and we have supported each other for a long time. We were blessed with 2 children, our oldest son Dan and our second son Billy. Both of them are now married. Recently, our house has been showing its age, so we were planning to renovate. We thought it would be nice if we could live with our oldest son and his wife, Dan and Rebecca, once the renovations are done. So I contacted Dan. We're planning to renovate soon. Would you consider moving in with us? When I said this over the phone, Dan clearly showed his reluctance. Living together, can you spare me? Rebecca will not like it either. But if we're going to renovate, I want to prepare a room for you guys too. That's for your convenience, right? If you have so much money that you can afford to renovate, then you can give us some of that money. I'll take it. From the phone, I could even hear Rebecca, Dan's wife, saying living together is seriously impossible. I see. Let's forget about this conversation. The eldest son and his wife are always like this. For some reason, they always act superior and display a cold attitude towards us. After I hung up the phone, I conveyed Dan and the others' feelings to my husband just as they were. My husband shot a somewhat lonely expression but spoke up cheerfully. Can't be helped for our old age. Let's just make the renovations for accessibility so we can live by ourselves. Following that, our home was remodeled as we wished and reborn as a house with barrier-free design. Several months after the renovation was completed, we were scheduled to have a meal with both our eldest son and his wife and our second son and his wife. First to arrive was our second son Billy and his wife Anne. Anne is a thoughtful person. As soon as she handed me a hostess gift, she came to the kitchen to help me. Mother-in-law, you are always so good at cooking. Oh, thank you. I'm grateful for your help, Anne. As we were chatting, the eldest son and his wife arrived. Upon their arrival, they sat heavily on the sofa and demanded that tea be brought to them. Seeing me preparing it, Rebecca and Dan spoke in an irritated manner. Really, they have no consideration. Exactly. We are guests here. Hurry up. As I was about to place the tea in front of them silently, Billy approached Dan from the side. Dan, can't you do at least that much by yourself? You shut up. At Dan's intimidating words, I sighed. Billy and his wife are kind to us, but even towards such a Billy, Dan was overbearing. However, the reason we called these siblings this time was because there was an important matter to discuss. The dinner party started and Dan, who was eating in a grumpy manner, spoke up. Hey Dad, since you called us here, you must have some business, right? Spit it out. Indeed, my husband looked at me, so I gave a small nod. The truth is, it has been found that I have lung cancer. Billy and his wife showed genuinely surprised expressions. Both the eldest son and his wife's facial expressions didn't change much. Dad, cancer. What's the current situation? I'm going to be hospitalized starting next week, but they told me the cancer has spread all over my body and I've got about 6 months left. That can't be. Well, dazzled anyway, Dan muttered as if it was someone else's business. Rebecca chimed in, well, you can't beat age, right? My uncle quickly passed away from stomach cancer, too. Her thoughtless words irritated me, and I couldn't help but raise my voice. Would you two just stop it? Catherine, it's fine. The father calms me down and begins to speak quietly, looking at his children. I want you guys to look after your mother after I'm gone. Of course, Dad. We'll take care of Mom, so don't worry. Yes, please think about your own health, father-in-law. The second son and his wife answered firmly. However, the eldest son and his wife were both playing with their cell phones, not seeming to listen to their father's words at all. After finishing their meal, everyone started to leave. Since the eldest son and his wife left quickly, I went outside to see off the second son and his wife. Mom, I know it's tough, but hang in there. We will also help. Of course, please let us know anything. Thank you, Billy. With such conversation, I saw the second son and his wife off. My husband preferred palliative care over surgery and chemotherapy, so he was admitted to a hospice the following week. I started visiting the hospice almost every day, and the second son and his wife would drive me and help take care of him. However, no matter how much I called, the eldest son and his wife never visited. Then about 5 months later, my husband's condition worsened, and I called the eldest son and his wife, telling them this might be the end. They appeared reluctantly. However, Dan neither held his hand nor said a word to him. Instead, they only gawked at my frail husband as if he were some repulsive sight. We've shown our faces. Isn't that enough? We have things to take care of, so we'll be going now. The older couple left the hospital room abruptly, not even 10 minutes after their arrival. As soon as they left the room, I noticed Rebecca had gotten her jacket. I quickly rushed after them. As I approached the staircase leading to the hallway, I saw them slowly descending the stairs. The two were so engrossed in their conversation that they didn't notice me. It really seems like Dad's time is coming home. Hey, what's going to happen to the inheritance with father-in-law gone? Dan smiled and Rebecca's question followed. Dad was just a regular employee, but Mom and the rest have been living pretty comfortably lately, haven't they? Maybe they've been playing the stock market or something. We could probably expect a decent inheritance. Haha. Oh, I can't wait. I've been wanting to go on an overseas trip. I also want to design her handbag. All we can do now is wait for things to wrap up. I teared up listening to their conversation. I couldn't possibly tell my husband about this. Unable to confront them, I silently returned to the hospital room. 2 weeks later, he passed away. I kept for a long time by his side, but Billy and his wife were there comforting me. Thanks to their support, I was able to hold it together, and the funeral went without a hitch. As soon as the funeral was over and only family remained, Dan, unable to contain his impatience, brought up the topic about Dad's inheritance. What the hell, Dan? We just had the funeral today. Billy immediately reprimanded him, but Dan only glared back. You, the second son, just shut up. With this, I spoke up. We'll arrange a meeting to discuss the inheritance next week. For today, please just go home. At these words, the elder couple grunted and promptly left. The following week, the cheerful elder couple and the serious younger couple arrived at our home for the inheritance meeting. I told the two couples in front of me, first off, I should mention that your father's inheritance amounts to about $30,000. What? As I broke the news, Dan looked flabbergasted. I'd like to split this as per legal inheritance shares, with me taking half and each of you getting a quarter. Wait, hold on. Are you sure there's only $30,000? In response to my matter-of-fact tone, Dan persisted. I passed him a thick envelope. All the documents are in here. Please check them. After looking through the documents, Dan and Rebecca's faces were contorted in frustration. Damn, Dad was really strapped, huh? So we're only getting $7,500 each. That's too little. If it's this low, give us the house too. At the clearly dissatisfied couple, Billy responded in an angry tone. Our mother is still living in that house. Don't care. It's because you wasted money on renovations that we're left with nothing. That's right. If the inheritance is this small, give us the house too. I calmly told the irritated couple, this house was painstakingly renovated by her father so we could live here in our old age. I won't just hand it over. I'll keep it as long as I live. What? It's not fair for you to keep everything to yourself. Dan glared at me with a fury that seemed as if he was about to lunge at me. Dan, cool it. Billy restrained Dan. Your father was worried about me till the end. You might not understand it, Dan. Billy started speaking softly while looking at me, who was still stirred up. Mom, we're going to announce our inheritance. You should take our part too. Dad would rest easy knowing that. He and his wife nodded beside him. Billy, there's no need to worry. As I said that, Dan and Rebecca interjected again. If they don't want to give their part to us, yes, we'll gladly take it. That's impossible. Mom's living on her pension. It's tough. We who are working should help her. Billy sincerely scolded his older brother and his wife, but his words didn't seem to affect them at all. Wouldn't you say support? Just because she's only got her pension doesn't mean we can just give our money away. Exactly. Or perhaps mother-in-law was planning to siphon off our money from the beginning. The older couple looked at me with an expression as if they had just chewed on a bitter bug. Their eyes were not the kind one should direct at a parent. Stop behaving like a parasite. It's a nuisance. Old ladies living on pensions should keep out of everything except for weddings and funerals. Just stay quiet. Hey, stop it now. Billy scolded them, but I had my head down and was clenching my fists. Not only do they wish for my husband's death, but they also complained about the inheritance and even called me a parasite. I wondered where I had gone wrong in raising him. Tears welled up in my eyes with regrets, but I couldn't lose my composure here. I gathered my feelings and said very calmly to Dan and Rebecca, I understand what you're saying. Let's sever our ties. When I said that, the older couple looked surprised for a moment, but quickly broke into a smirk. Really? That's the best news I've heard. Does this mean we don't have to deal with the old lady anymore? Lucky. As Dan and Rebecca hurried to leave, they sarcastically called out to Billy and his wife. So there you have it. You guys look after the old lady. Good luck taking care of the parasite. As the couple stormed out, Billy and his wife rushed over to me. Mom, are you okay? They're just too awful. Mother-in-law, we are always by your side. Please don't be upset. I was still looking down, but I raised my face and looked straight at the two of them. Billy and I have something to tell you. A few months later, while I was relaxing at home, Dan and Rebecca appeared with Billy. What's going on? We severed our ties, haven't we? Hey, old lady, we need to talk. Indeed. Come on in. The eldest son and his wife, shouting at the entrance, their faces flushed red. From the side, Billy spoke with an apologetic tone. Sorry, Mom. I was asked about the house, and I couldn't help but tell them. That's fine for now. Everyone, please come in. I let them into the house. The moment they were led into the living room, the eldest couple began to raise their voices. What do you mean you're giving the house to Bill? Exactly. You're disregarding us. The eldest couple? What's that all about? Looking at the two of them, I spoke in a calm and composed manner. Billy said he would maintain the house and preserve your father's memories. That's why I decided to leave it to him. What? What do you mean? Dan stared at me, taken aback. Billy and his wife Anne have been a great support to me. It's only natural. I smiled warmly at the apologetic-looking younger couple. Thank you, Mom. We're not here to hear that you said you'd take over the house yourself, didn't you? After taking a quick glance at the eldest daughter-in-law, who looked like she was about to froth at the mouth, I explained. I thought I'd hand it over to someone who would respect your father and my wishes. Besides, I started getting some rental income. What? What is this? Seeing my surprise, I set it aside and continued matter-of-factly. Remember how last year my father, your grandfather, passed away. Billy attended the funeral, but you couldn't because you were out of town. Remember that? That was. I continued, your grandfather was a landlord who owned several buildings and apartments. Finally, the inheritance has been settled, and I've started receiving rental income. The eldest couple's faces looked as if they had been hit by a bolt from the blue. We never heard anything about that. I never mentioned it. Hey, about that rental income, how much are we talking about? Well, it's about $3 million a year. So it's easy for me to give one of the houses to my adorable son and his wife. Then Dan and Rebecca, the eldest couple, sprang to their feet energetically. Wait, hold on a minute. If Billy and his wife get one, then we should. Why should I split my assets with someone who called me a parasite? Wasn't it you who told me to stay away? Whoa, that's... If you're going to call me a parasite, then please don't leech off me. My sharp words made Dan and Rebecca begin to stutter in response. I glared at them both and pointed to the door. All right, the conversation is over. Please go home now. Wait, hold on, Mom. Please listen to me. Dina approached me flustered and suddenly clung to my arm. I looked at her with a cold gaze. You have no right to call me Mom. Please, you can give us some of the house and money, too. We're struggling, the eldest daughter-in-law pleaded loudly. I looked at them and spoke. Struggling? What do you mean? Dan then started to explain hesitantly. We thought we'd get Dad's inheritance and lived a bit too luxuriously. And while we kind of got into debt, I forcefully shook off Dan's arm. I'm disgusted. I didn't think you could be this stupid. This is the bed you've made, so you need to lie in it. Mom, that's just too cruel. I had the final say to the upset faces of the eldest couple. From now on, I'll transfer my assets to Billy while I'm still alive. I won't give a penny to you who cut ties with me. Please never bother us again. Billy stood up to the crestfallen eldest couple. If you understand, then go home quickly. Don't come near Mom or us ever again. Billy showed the deflated two out the door. He was rubbing my back, which was still breathing heavily. After that, the eldest couple apparently ended up going bankrupt after getting into debt to repay their existing debt from their rundown apartment. It said you could hear Dan and Rebecca arguing night after night. For them, who couldn't manage this simple act of cherishing their family, a decent future probably isn't in the cards. As for me, since I passed the house on to Billy, I bought and moved into an apartment nearby that comes with caregiving services. Billy and his wife often come by to visit, and they've recently had an adorable baby. I want to continue building a good relationship with Billy's family and cherish each and every day. Mama, look over there. As we drove home from my mom's house, my daughter asked. There was literally a mountain of trash bags in front of our doorstep. It dawned on me that the stuff in these bags was our personal items or whatever, and they were packed so haphazardly like garbage. Upon seeing the figure, I shouted, "What is this? Why is this happening?" In one of the bags, my daughter tearfully removed her favorite stuffed animal and grabbed hold. Frustrated, I marched towards the entrance, only to find the locks had been changed while we were out. It was clear my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were behind this. Ringing the doorbell and knocking several times brought no response. "What is this? Isn't it terrible?" I muttered. Upon closer inspection, one of the trash bags had a note that read, "Parasites disappear. Never come back." Anger surged within me, and I couldn't help but express my frustration aloud. The real parasites are you. This was the worst treatment I had ever received from my in-laws in 17 years. It was unbearable that they were making my daughter feel this way too. My patience exhausted and boiling with anger, I loaded our belongings into the car, and we returned to my parents' house. "I will never come back to this house again," I declared. "I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to the parasites when their host is gone." My name is Olivia. I am currently 45 years old. I live with my husband, daughter, and my husband's mother and sister. I can't say we live happily. I work from home, but this house is never peaceful. The issue lies with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Hannah. They have disliked and ignored me for over 12 years. As my daughter Megan grew up, it bothered me less and less. I mainly work as a personal consultant. I started as a fortune teller, but as my blog became popular, I began getting more questions about attracting customers. This led to my current job. I met my husband Jake through a friend's introduction when I was training to be a fortune teller. I work in sales at a pharmaceutical company and also do affiliate marketing as a side job, which is finally starting to take off. Jake gave me great advice on attracting customers when I struggled with fortune telling. Attracted by his kindness, we started dating and got married a year later. Our income wasn't great at that time, but Jake always supported me. I'm so glad I married Jake. I truly felt this way. Living with my in-laws started about a year after we got married. It began when my father-in-law, who had been healthy, suddenly passed away. My mother-in-law felt insecure about the future and asked my husband to live with us. We agreed to live together in exchange for taking care of the household chores. At first, my mother-in-law welcomed us and was happy. I hoped we would get along well, but I was wrong. 4 months later, she began completely ignoring me, maybe because she was unhappy that I wasn't helping with the housework. Soon, my sister-in-law, Hannah, also started ignoring me. I didn't mind being ignored, but my mother-in-law's tendency to involve others was challenging. Not only did Hannah hear about it, but even neighbors and relatives were informed that my daughter-in-law stays at home, but says she's working, leaving all the housework to me. If I stayed even a little, she would talk back 100-fold, so I just ignored her. To make matters worse, my mother-in-law would suggest to others, "You better not talk to her too. It'll be troublesome." As a result, people around the in-law house began giving me only cold responses to my greetings. I felt isolated, and it became very difficult. Despite my pleas to stop spreading strange rumors, my words were completely ignored. Although my mother-in-law's attitude softened slightly when my daughter Megan was born 3 years after we started living together, her overall stance towards me hardly changed. However, she was very fond of Megan, and having her help with household chores and childcare was a huge relief as my work became busier. Around the same time, my husband Jake's side business started to struggle, and he seemed unable to adapt to changes in the affiliate marketing market. He approached me saying, "Olivia, can you increase your contribution to the monthly expenses a bit?" I agreed and mentioned that my consultations were increasing and my new methods were working well. Even though I was willing to help boost his sales, Jake insisted on handling it alone, saying, "I think I'll try it on my own." I'm really sorry. From the start of our marriage, we agreed that Jake would manage the household finances. At first, my income was low, so he allowed me to contribute more when my sales increased. I would transfer money to Jake based on my monthly earnings, and he would give me a fixed amount for living expenses in cash. Initially, I could only contribute $300, but now I could transfer up to $3,000, though not every month. I could contribute more if I went into savings. I knew Jake was struggling with his side business, but his pride kept him from asking for my help. He started spending more time at caves after work, coming home later and later. When Megan was about 5, Hannah got married and moved out. Since she lived nearby, she often brought her son Frank to our house during the day. When Frank turned 1, Hannah said she wanted to start a part-time job, and my mother-in-law happily offered to take care of him until the evening. Hannah was grateful, saying, "Thank you. I'm so happy." As my mother-in-law started caring for Frank at home, she became very fond of him and began being cold towards Megan. When they fought, my mother-in-law would scold Megan and compare her unfavorably to Frank. Over time, Megan started playing near me and began to dislike my mother-in-law's behavior. I spoke up, saying, "Talk to your mother. Megan and Frank are both her grandchildren. She should treat them the same. Megan is already a big sister in elementary school." However, my mother-in-law's focus shifted, and she approached me, saying, "Things are tough at the company right now. We might not get bonuses, so could you contribute a bit more?" Despite the challenges, my blog's client attraction was successful, and I started receiving more consultations as a consultant, earning far more than I did as a fortune teller. When Jake asked for additional financial support, I responded, "I'm already contributing $4,000 a month. Isn't that enough?" "Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say, but my salary has decreased, and the side business isn't going well." "Don't be secretive," I said. "We are a couple. We should support each other in tough times." "I'm really ashamed." "Thank you." Later, the amount I contributed gradually increased, and eventually I was transferring $5,000 a month to Jake. Still not wanting to hurt his pride, I let Jake continue to manage the finances. When Megan was in 7th grade, Hannah came back home with Frank. It seems Hannah got divorced due to her infidelity, but I don't know the details. By this time, Megan could help around the house, so household chores were divided among each family member. Being ignored by my mother-in-law and Hannah continued, but it no longer bothered me. It's unfortunate that I couldn't give Megan her own room when she started middle school, as Hannah's return meant we ran out of rooms. One night, while discussing which tutoring school Megan should attend for middle school, Hannah suddenly said, "Hey, tutoring is expensive. Why doesn't Megan study by herself? Could you stop making such comments? I'm paying for the tutoring, so it's none of your business what Olivia is paying." "Impossible. You don't earn anything. Jake said he's supporting you." "You're just a leech, aren't you? Haha, you married him because he has money, right?" "Exactly. Jake told me not to speak ill of Olivia, but that's just shameless." My mind was filled with questions. What does this mean? What has Jake been telling his mother and the others? Jake is the one supporting this house financially. It's about time we put an end to the parasite's lifestyle. I feel bad for Megan, but if we pay for her tutoring, we won't be able to pay my compensation. Not able to pay. Are you saying our house is paying for your compensation, Hannah? Jake said he would pay for it. You should spend your money on Frank. I began to understand the deception and felt my anger rising. My husband had always managed our household finances, and my mother-in-law had taken care of the household chores and childcare until Megan grew up. So I thought they knew I was also contributing to the household expenses. Is Jake bearing all the expenses of this house, including your living expenses and the compensation Hannah is supposed to pay? Be quiet. It's only natural for a family. You're the only outsider here, not related by blood, and yet you act as if living here is your right. It really makes me angry. I contribute money too. Don't talk back. What you contribute is barely enough for your own food expenses. You hardly have any income, and yet you're so arrogant. I could feel my body trembling with anger. I could see Megan on the side, looking like she might cry. I knew Jake had a lot of pride, but I never thought it would be this bad. In the beginning, Jake was paying for the living expenses and pocket money for my mother-in-law and Hannah, but I had started contributing as well. Now we were living on my income. I needed to talk to Jake properly. Around midnight, Jake came home. He was drunk and seemed cheerful. Can we talk? I didn't know you weren't getting any money from your mother or Hannah. They said you're covering all the expenses of this house. Oh, about that, my bad. It's a matter of pride as a man, you know. When we started living together, I was paying for everything. There wasn't a right moment to say you were also paying. And in front of the family, let me be the eldest son a little, please. Jake, with a light-hearted tone like in a comedy sketch, put his hands together. Oh, that's right. I'm going to Faye this Saturday. I'll be gone for a week. Take care. Faye, why? I got invited to a deal in Faye by a friend I'm doing a side business with. I'm going to make it a success, so cheer for me, Olivia. Well, I'm off to sleep. See you tomorrow. My husband laid down on the mat in a cheerful mood and soon started snoring. My anger wouldn't subside, but recently, with Jake coming home late, we hadn't talked much, and I had no idea about this. I thought he was joking while drunk, but on the weekend, Jake really left with a large suitcase during Jake's absence. I had the freedom to use the car, so I decided to take Megan back to my parents' house. The next day, a shocking event awaited us. Mom, what is that? When Megan and I returned to my parents' house, there were piles of trash bags in front of the entrance. Upon closer inspection, these bags contained mine and Megan's belongings, carelessly packed like real trash. What is this? Why is this happening? I don't understand. Megan, crying, pulled out her beloved stuffed animal from the bag and hugged it. Furious, I headed towards the entrance. Had the locks changed? It seemed that the locks had been changed while we were out. This must be the work of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Hannah. I rang the doorbell and knocked several times, but no one came out. What is this? Isn't it terrible? Upon closer inspection, one of the trash bags had a note saying, "Parasites disappear. Never come back." I felt a surge of anger from the bottom of my heart. The real parasites are you. I couldn't help but let out a swear word. This was the worst treatment I had ever received from my in-laws in 17 years. They weren't just hurting me, but also making my daughter feel this way. I finally lost my patience. Boiling with anger, I loaded the luggage into the car, and we returned to my parents' house. I will never come back to this house again. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to the parasites when their host is gone. When we returned to my parents' house, they were shocked. I hadn't told them about being ignored by my in-laws, the money issues, or their attitude towards Megan, not wanting to worry them. My parents said, "There's no need to go back to that house. You should claim compensation from them." They cried with anger and told me to stay with them. My mother's words, "You really had it tough," made me cry too. In reality, I had been trying my best all this time. Enough is enough. I finally decided to confront my feelings. While staying at my parents' house, I contacted a friend who had introduced me to Jake. She was connected to Jake's side business friends. "Are you doing well? I want to ask you something. Do you know if Jake's friends are currently in Fade, that famous entrepreneur pedo, right?" I was invited but wasn't interested, so I declined. Jake didn't go, did he? "Yeah, that's right. By the way, I heard Jake quit his job and is now managing a business with his wife. You two must be close." "Ah, yes, that's right," I replied nonchalantly and hung up. Immediately after, I called Jake's company. What my friend said was true, and to my surprise, Jake had quit his job 3 years ago. This meant that for the past 3 years, I had been paying almost all of the living expenses for my in-laws. Looking back over the years, I suddenly felt hollow. A week later, I received a laid-back message from Jake saying he was back in the USA. After continuously ignoring him, I stopped hearing from him altogether. He must have heard the news back home. Expecting persistent contact from Jake, I hired a detective to investigate him. The investigation revealed that Jake, dressed in a suit in the morning, spent his afternoons gambling and evenings at a woman's house. So I asked for an investigation into his infidelity as well. 2 weeks later, Jake called me. It must have been close to his former company's payday, and he was panicking. "Olivia, sorry I couldn't contact you. I'm sorry for what my family did. I heard they kicked you out, and I was thinking, why did it come to this? Really, did you tell the truth to your mother and Hannah?" Jake quickly changed the subject and said something unbelievable. "Let's leave that house and live in a new home, just the 3 of us. I'll cut ties with those who disregard you, Olivia. I'm ready to abandon my mother and Hannah, so please come back." "Are you really cutting ties with your mother and Hannah?" I was disappointed in Jake and his self-centered actions, so I told him I'm coming back for now, so leave the door unlocked. Jake seemed delayed in responding to my message. A few days later, I returned to my in-laws' house with Megan. Jake, his mother, and Hannah were there, but Frank was nowhere to be seen. I was relieved that Frank didn't have to witness the adults' ugly arguments. When Jake made some remarks, I ignored the displeased pair and took out a divorce form from my bag. I confronted the surprised Jake. "I heard you quit your job without telling me. Since we're supposedly managing a business together, does that mean the $5,000 I've been transferring every month was actually your salary?" Jake tried to excuse himself. "No, that's not it. I told you the business was in trouble, right? So I decided to quit before getting fired." "Really? I heard you quit 3 years ago, right? I called your company, and it's still not bankrupt." Jake fell silent. I pressed further. "By the way, what role do you play in our joint business management? Are you an accountant?" Jake became increasingly uneasy and started sweating. "Jake is supporting the whole family, isn't he, Mother? He quit his job. His side business isn't going well, and yet it's a mystery where the money is coming from. I'm leaving, but please continue to get financial support from Jake." My mother-in-law and Hannah's faces turned pale. "But the other day on the phone, you were crying and begging to save only yourself, saying you'd cut ties with your mother and sister. Haha, but that won't happen. I'm also discarding Jake here." "What do you mean? I don't understand." "Jake hasn't been going to work." "That's a lie. He leaves in a suit." And Olivia was supporting the household. It's true. Olivia has been paying for everything for years. I'm unemployed now and not doing any side business. We're going to have a hard life because you kicked Olivia out. We could have had an easy life without working if you hadn't done anything unnecessary. What do you mean by that? You were planning to abandon us, weren't you? Jake's response made my mother-in-law and Hannah furious, and they started arguing. While they caused a commotion, Megan and I began to take action. I came to pick up some forgotten items. I took a cleaning robot bought within the last 5 months, an expensive microwave favored by my mother-in-law, and the beauty device Hannah had gotten from Jake. Wait, that's mine. This is mine since I'd bought it with my money, or you can pay me back for it. Hannah fell silent at my words. Then I searched for and gathered my belongings from their rooms. The items they had put out did not include my expensive brand bags and accessories. Why are you taking that too? This is mine. I ignored their complaints and sweet talk. Finally, I dropped a bombshell on Jake. Oh, I forgot. I plan to claim compensation from your mistress, Lauren. Tell her it's no use running away. What? How do you know about her? I know you went to Faye with Lauren recently. Good for you, right? Of course, I have all the evidence of the affair, so no escaping that. No way. You've been deceiving me and having fun for the past 3 years. I'll be claiming compensation for the affair, child support for Megan, and oh, you were secretly paying Hannah's compensation too. I'll be claiming that back as well. As I prepared to leave, my mother-in-law and Hannah desperately tried to stop me. I was wrong, Olivia. I'm sorry. We just believed what Jake said. We can't live without you. We'll do anything. Please help us. I can't pay you back for the compensation. I'm sorry too. I apologize for everything. You'll forgive us, right? I couldn't help but laugh at their foolish faces. They finally realized who had been supporting their lifestyle, realizing too late that their non-blood related support was gone. Let's just ignore these people, Mom. Let's go home. Yes, that's right. Jake, you'll be hearing from the lawyer soon. Please take care of it. Leaving a dejected Jake behind, we returned home with the items we had collected. Later, my divorce with Jake was finalized, and I demanded compensation through a lawyer. I received many apologies and pleas for reconciliation from my mother-in-law and Hannah, but I ignored them all. Surprisingly, there was still some inheritance left from Jake's father. The fact that they had been living off my money without using their own made me angry again. However, the inheritance wasn't enough for the compensation, and ultimately they had to sell the house to make a lump sum payment. Naturally, this included the compensation I had been paying for Hannah. After selling the house, I don't know what became of Jake's family. I hope Jake can take care of his family, but ultimately he will choose his own path. I'd also claimed compensation from Jake's mistress, which led to an unexpected revelation. Through the lawyer, I informed her that Jake was unemployed and I had been supporting the family. Jake had deceived her, claiming he was an entrepreneur with a successful business. They broke up after an argument. Megan and I moved to an apartment, and I was able to give her the room she had longed for. I don't think my 17 years were wasted, but sometimes I wonder if I should have made a decision when I started being ignored. Now I feel happy that my home is a peaceful place. I'm also so exhausted mentally and physically from the stress of raising a child. That's why I need Michael's support so badly. I tried my best to persuade Michael to stay. I'm also enduring Thea's crying every night. Plus, I'm nearing my mental limit from exhaustion. Raising a child has traditionally been a mother's job, right? Regardless of what I do, it's none of your business, Michael said, showing slight irritation. Are you serious? How can you plan a vacation to Mexico with your sisters at a time like this? I'm just going to leave my family and wife for a short while and have some fun. Saying that, Michael grabbed his bag with a grin and hurriedly left the house. I wanted to follow him, but I could hear Thea crying from inside the room, so I couldn't move. Tears wouldn't stop flowing as I tried to process my feelings. I didn't work so hard to support a man like this. I dreamed of building a good life together as a couple. However, Michael showed no willingness to work. Moreover, he took my gold card without permission and used it without hesitation. I've reached my limit with this manipulative man. I hardened my heart and began to plan my revenge on Michael. My name is Susan Diane. I am turning 30 this year. I started my career as a new employee in a major, well-known company. I've been working there since my younger days and have continued to work hard. One day, on my way home from work, feeling tired, I stopped by a bar. There I met my current husband, Michael. He was working as a bartender behind the counter. Michael is 28, 6 years younger than me. He has a very attractive face and a friendly personality. He was someone I could easily talk to about work concerns or just chat. Gradually, visiting that bar became a part of my daily routine. Our relationship developed, and we started living together as a couple. My family was initially not in favor of my relationship with Michael. Many suggested dating men from my workplace, but my feelings for Michael were unwavering. I firmly believed in our future together. In the early days of our marriage, he played an active role in our household. Since his bartending shift started in the evening, he supported our home during the day. "Susan, you must be tired from work, so I'll prepare dinner tonight." These words showed his consideration towards me. When I came home, dishes prepared by Michael were laid out on the table, and I felt grateful almost every day, thinking marrying him was the right choice. However, a few months after our marriage, I noticed a subtle change in Michael's attitude. It seemed related to my salary. One evening, when I came home, my salary slip was spread out on the living room table. Sitting in front of it, he was tracing the figures on the slip with a look of surprise. I never thought Susan would be earning this much. He looked up at me, clearly taken aback. In fact, I hadn't specifically informed Michael about the exact amount of my income since our marriage. Even if I worked standing all day, I couldn't earn this much. Susan really works hard. He tilted his head, deep in thought, and spoke to me with a hint of regret in his eyes. A few days later, as we dined together, Michael suddenly blurted out, "Actually, I quit my job today." "What? Why?" I was so shocked by his words that I dropped my fork. I've been thinking, just with my salary, it might be tough for both of us to live comfortably. So I decided I'll handle everything at home, and we'll live off your income. That way, you can focus even more on your work. But how can we manage with only one income? My voice trembled as I spoke. In truth, I hadn't been feeling well since the morning, so during my lunch break, I bought a pregnancy test at a nearby pharmacy. The result was positive, and I decided to share this astonishing news with Michael tonight. "Michael, it seems like we're going to have a baby." "Really? Are you serious?" His face was filled with surprise, and he seemed at a loss for words for a moment. "I took a test today. If I end up taking maternity leave, I might be a bit worried about you quitting your job." I honestly expressed my concerns to Michael. In response, Michael said, "But the company you work for pays a full salary even during maternity leave, right?" I was a bit taken aback by his words. That's true, but my mind was swirling with emotions, and I didn't know what to do. It seemed Michael was more concerned about my salary during maternity leave than the fact I was pregnant. He said he intended to take on all the household responsibilities, and he expected me to focus on earning a salary. At first glance, it sounded like he was thinking of my best interests, but I was left with a lingering unease. I was aware of the significant difference between my income and Michael's, but I hadn't anticipated relying solely on my salary for our household expenses. I could feel my anxieties about the future and my doubts about him growing day by day. According to a recent doctor's diagnosis, our child was indeed growing inside me. Despite the changes in my condition during the early stages of pregnancy, I focused on my work. On the other hand, I felt that Michael was neglecting his responsibilities at home more than before. The way he spent time at home seemed to be changing drastically. His tendency to shirk responsibilities became increasingly evident, and every time I returned from work, the house seemed more and more in disarray. When I lived in the kitchen, I saw a pile of dishes left unwashed. "Oh, you're back." Michael, lounging on the living room sofa, didn't do anything in particular when he saw me. He was engrossed in using his smartphone. "What are we doing for dinner tonight?" "Actually, I went to a large local bathhouse today and had a meal there." "I'm sorry, but could you heat up some frozen food for tonight?" He said this while lightly pointing towards the refrigerator. That day, I was honestly exhausted and hungry, and I didn't feel like arguing with him, so I relied on the frozen food he pointed out. Time passed, and I started my maternity leave. As I spent more time at home, I began to notice more pronounced changes in Michael's behavior. Even when I kindly asked him to take on household chores more often, Michael immediately retorted, "Since you are at home now, do it. It's not fair for me to always be the one doing everything." He became upset and left the house. Conflicts like this occurred frequently, making our marital relationship increasingly strained. However, the silver lining was that the baby in my belly was growing healthily without any issues. Time went on, and I eventually gave birth. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. We named her Thea. I decided not to return to my parents' home for the birth and chose to welcome her here. To support that decision, my mother came to our apartment and helped with our daily life. I have an older sister by 2 years named Maran. She had already married a man named Vince and had started their new life together. Maran and her husband Vince hadn't been blessed with children yet, and Maran was a full-time housewife. One day, Maran visited our apartment by herself. She carried a large bag with her. "Susan, congratulations on your baby's birth." She celebrated the birth of my lively daughter and brought warm gifts for her. "She's truly adorable." She gently hugged Thea, looking at her with a joyful expression. I noticed Michael watching the scene from a corner with a smile. I felt a certain unease for some reason. My sister Maran was always cheerful, and with her beauty and charm, she attracted the attention of many men. Whenever Maran visited our home, I noticed Michael hovering around her. "Hey, doesn't it feel exceptionally hot today? My mouth is getting dry." Reacting to Maran's words, Michael quickly headed to the kitchen, took out some juice from the fridge, and started pouring it into a beautiful glass. He added ice and made a refreshing drink just for her. "Maran, here you go. I've prepared a cold juice for you." "Well, thank you, Michael. I wish my husband would be as thoughtful as you." Maran finished the juice in no time. Michael watched her with a smile and kept buzzing around her. Since Thea's birth, I noticed that Maran visited more often, and every time, Michael and Maran seemed to enjoy lively conversations together. On the other hand, I was overwhelmed by taking care of Thea and felt exhausted every day. These night cries, in particular, were tough, leading to many sleepless nights for me. Due to this lack of sleep and stress, Michael started to get irritated by Thea's prolonged night cries. "I can't take it anymore. If this keeps up, I might lose my mind in this house." I couldn't contain myself after hearing that and exploded. "If you don't like it here so much, why don't you find a job outside? You barely help around the house, and you don't take care of Thea at all." Michael shrugged his shoulders. "Isn't the income during your maternity leave enough to sustain our current lifestyle? Do I really need to hustle and work outside?" His eyes calmly yet sharply stared at me. From that gaze, I strongly felt that he had no intention to look for work. I couldn't believe he thought that way. Can you even imagine how much it's going to cost to raise Thea? I can't forgive a father who just skips housework and hangs out all the time. But Michael wasn't fazed by my words and began walking towards the entrance. Wait, Michael, where are you going? Michael quickly put on his shoes. I'm going to Maran's house, he replied in a low voice. I was taken aback. I couldn't believe he was heading to Maran's house because of our fight. Late into the night, I received a message on my phone from Michael. He wrote that he intended to spend that night at Maran's house. Concerned, I called Maran, and she lightly laughed, saying, "It's okay. Small spats between spouses are normal." The next day, when Michael returned home, he seemed to be organizing his things. As I approached to ask him, he said, "I'm packing for a trip." I was taken aback and exclaimed, "A trip?" My mind was in turmoil, unsure how to react. I've been really stressed these past few days, and when I confided in Maran, she suggested a short getaway. So we planned a trip all of a sudden. But where are you planning to go? To Mexico. I'm looking forward to delicious barbecue and various dishes. It's going to be a short stay of 2 nights and 3 days. I was bewildered by this and couldn't gather my thoughts. Wait, just the 2 of you? I asked, feeling a rush of anxiety. Don't worry, Vince is also joining. It's not just the 2 of us, he replied with a light chuckle. But I'm exhausted from taking care of Thea and emotionally drained. I need your help and support now more than ever. I desperately conveyed my feelings to Michael. Honestly, enduring Thea's cries every night is tough for me. And isn't it mainly the mother's role to raise the child? I can't believe you think like that. Going on a trip to Mexico with Maran and the others when things are so tough here. I'm going to refresh myself. It's important to have some personal time, even if it means leaving the family for a bit, Michael said with a smug smile, gazing coldly into my eyes. Shortly after, as he hurriedly left the room, his luggage for this short trip was set by his feet. I wanted to chase after him and talk, but I could hear Thea's pitiful cries from deep within the room, so I had no choice but to stay put. I quickly tried to contact Maran, looked for her contact information, and called her using my smartphone. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, but I truly believe that taking a break is absolutely essential when things get mentally tough. So I searched for flight tickets and found some available seats to Mexico at just the right time. Vince can also take a short break, so even though it was a last-minute decision, we're going to Mexico. Oh, and my taxi is almost here, so I have to hang up now. Wait, Maran, why would you? Before I could finish my sentence, the call was disconnected. I was in shock for a moment, then began to wonder about something. Michael shouldn't really have any disposable income. How was he affording this trip to Mexico? Consumed by anxiety, I opened my wallet to check its contents. Oh no, my gold card provided by my company as an employee benefit, with all charges covered by the company, was missing. I hurriedly tried to contact Michael on his phone. Michael, you haven't taken and used my gold card without permission, have you? Actually, I borrowed it for a bit while you were in the bathroom. Right now, I'm at the exclusive gold card member lounge at the airport, about to enjoy some premium champagne with everyone. His reply was astonishingly calm, as if nothing was amiss. Taking my card without asking is utterly unacceptable, no matter how you look at it. I raised my voice, trembling with anger. Don't be ridiculous. We've always relied on your income to support the household. Using the gold card a little doesn't change our usual lifestyle. You're overreacting. Anyway, I'll enjoy my time here. He hung up abruptly. I was utterly devastated. Meanwhile, Thea had started crying again in the next room, as if expressing her loneliness. Looking around the living room, I saw evidence of a life left in Desiree, with items scattered everywhere and signs that cleaning had been abruptly stopped. Every day, I was swamped with taking care of Thea and household chores. Despite me being at my limit, Michael casually decided to take a trip to Mexico with Moran and the others. I couldn't believe what was happening. Tears streamed down my face from the anger and frustration. Then it dawned on me, I need to freeze my card. I immediately began searching for the contact details of the credit card company, but as I searched, I gradually calmed down and had an idea. What if I let him use the card on purpose for 2 days, and at the moment when he'd be in the biggest pinch, I would freeze the card? 3 days have passed since Michael and the others left for Mexico. That's when I decided to contact the card company. I requested them to temporarily freeze my gold card. Shortly after, I received a call from Michael. From his voice, I could sense that something unexpected had happened. Apparently, they were on their way to the airport with plenty of time after checking out of the hotel. Actually, we were relaxing in the special Gold Card member lounge at the Mexican airport, but suddenly we were stopped by security staff, and without any explanation, we were kicked out of the lounge. Do you have any idea what's happening? His voice was filled with confusion and anxiety. I see, but think about it, Michael. You aren't officially a Gold Card member to begin with, so isn't it only natural that you were asked to leave the lounge? I conveyed the situation calmly and clearly. Did you have something to do with the card not working? He asked, his voice a mix of shock and suspicion. Yes, I did. I responded briefly but assertively. I can't believe this. Right now, I'm being escorted to the airport security room. I'm being taken away by a security guard, he described, his voice shaking as he spoke. Well, you should have known that there would be problems using a card that it isn't in your name, right? I replied with utmost calmness. I never thought it would come to this. What if I can't return to the U.S. now? His voice was full of anxiety and impatience. I could visualize his belongings and wallet being thoroughly inspected. I couldn't help but smile imagining his situation. According to him, Moran and Vince were also being interrogated in separate rooms. Even more shockingly, the entire travel expenses for Moran and the others were also charged using my gold card. I was taken aback by this startling revelation. A little later, I received a call from Moran. Susan, what were you thinking? We are currently being interrogated at the Mexican airport. Her voice was filled with anger. Moran, I genuinely had no idea. I never imagined that you all would use my gold card to pay for the trip. Michael came to our house, desperately seeking help. Vince and I planned this trip to Mexico to distract him. Since we joined as his support, we thought it was only natural for you, as his wife, to cover the expenses. I was at a loss for words. I was shocked that Moran saw this as a given. It seems that Moran also used my card for shopping and dining while abroad. Susan, to resolve the issue, please lift the card suspension immediately. It's not that simple. Moran showed clear anger at my response and said, "What's with that attitude? You've always been this plain and inconspicuous person, and yet you managed to establish a family and have a child before me. Just lift the card suspension without any complaints. Despite being engrossed in your job all the time, your salary must be high, right? And you must have a lot of savings too, don't you?" Her harsh words deeply wounded my heart. Her words dripped with genuine feelings. Moran, with her glamorous looks and friendly demeanor, was always the center of attention. Meanwhile, I always existed quietly in her shadow. So my having a family before her must have been an unexpected development for her. Then I suddenly heard Vince's calm voice from the other end of the phone. Susan, I'm truly sorry about earlier. It seems there was a misunderstanding in the information I received from Moran." "A misunderstanding? What do you mean?" Maran told me to help Michael. Everyone needs to go on this trip, and all the expenses will be borne by Susan, so I'd like you to help us out. So we decided to travel to Mexico. Hearing that, I felt a mix of shock and anger towards Maran's scheming. It was unbelievable that Maran had told Vince such a different story using my name. Considering the situation, I've chosen to return using my own means. Vince, why would you make such a decision? I plan to use my credit card and cash to purchase a new airline ticket to return. Vince, wait, aren't you getting tickets for us too? Leaving us behind here is unthinkable. Maran's voice, filled with anger and urgency, resonated clearly over the phone. In the background, Michael too was shouting a similar request. Vince, I'm really begging you. Can't you arrange return tickets for us as well? That's impossible. Upon hearing those words, I was taken aback. Indeed, I couldn't accept the fact that Maran and Michael had unauthorized use my card, but I couldn't grasp why Vince was being so cold towards them. After that, Vince dropped a bombshell on me. Susan, listen carefully. It seems that Michael and Maran have a romantic relationship. Really? My surprise peaked, and my mind was in turmoil. Lately, I've noticed that Michael and Maran have become unusually close. Also, I've repeatedly caught the scent of a specific cologne that Michael wears at my house. I started to suspect that something was going on between them. This scent permeated even into the bedroom, making me feel that something was off. Either Michael had spent a lot of time in the room or was doing something there. There wasn't concrete evidence of cheating yet, but something felt wrong. Recently, when the idea of the three of us going to Mexico came up, I made up my mind to find out what they were up to. I decided to go along with them and pretend I didn't notice anything. I swore to myself that if there was anything suspicious, I wouldn't overlook it. I had also felt uneasy about how close Michael and Maran seemed. Although my distrust for Michael grew daily, I didn't want to believe that he was actually involved with Maran. I believed that such a relationship between my sister's husband and anyone was unthinkable. Even if Michael acted inappropriately towards Maran, I genuinely believed she wouldn't reciprocate. That's why I deeply trusted Maran. However, that trust was soon shattered. On the first night of the trip, after 3 o'clock in the morning, I clearly saw Maran sneaking out of her bed and heading to Michael's room. Upon hearing this, it felt like something inside me had collapsed. I made it seem as though I was in deep sleep that night. After getting into bed as usual, I faintly heard the door open. Responding to the sound, I got up and looked down the hallway from the peephole in my door. I saw you opening Michael's door. Moreover, I clearly saw Michael gently embracing you on the shoulder and welcoming you inside. After this revelation, the room was enveloped in silence. But that can't be right, Vince. You were sound asleep that night. Proof of that is how loudly you were snoring. And there's no reason for me to go to another room. Maran's voice trembled slightly, and she seemed unable to hide her anxiety. That loud snoring was part of my plan. I pretended to be in a deep sleep to observe your actions, and though I hoped I was wrong, I saw you heading to Michael's room. Maran seemed to be thinking of an excuse but remained silent. Though you are in-laws, the fact that Michael often visits our house and every time you greet him with especially vibrant makeup and a beaming smile honestly just felt unnatural to me. Did you think I wouldn't feel anything after learning this truth? That was a huge mistake. After these strong words, the faces of Maran and Michael went pale in front of an infuriated Vince. Both stood speechless. About an hour after you snuck out, you came back and laid down next to me as if nothing had happened. I can't believe you have such a relationship with your brother-in-law. Moreover, on the second night, you secretly left the room and didn't return for about 2 hours. Did you think I hadn't noticed the first night and felt at ease? Actually, I was there. There was a hint of surprise and a slight tremor in her voice. I was just pretending to be sound asleep during this trip, right next to me, and with my brother-in-law, all people. How could you do something like that? Michael, you're being too irresponsible. Vince, to be honest, we carefully chose his words, but a solid excuse didn't come out. Susan, I've made up my mind. I will arrange my own flight ticket and plan to return to the U.S. I will leave these two in Mexico. What do you think? Yes, I also think that's best. Michael, Mary, and both of you should start a new life in Mexico, and there's no need for either of you to come back to the U.S. I think that's the best choice. I responded. Carly, with a smile, said, Michael, please, at least help with the flight costs. I'm really stuck here. I'm begging you. Considering you worked as a bartender before, Michael, finding a part-time job in a bar or restaurant at the airport shouldn't be too difficult. Moran is personable and has a good reputation with men. Perhaps she can excel as PR staff for some establishments. I advised with a hint of sarcasm, but still remained calm. Later on, after hearing the details, Vince was able to smoothly return to the U.S. During that time, Vince and I came up with a specific plan and started executing the necessary steps to carry it out. Between our busy work schedules, Vince and I moved forward with the necessary arrangements and procedures, becoming even more united in our endeavors. On the other hand, we received information that a distressed Michael and Moran managed to find a way to return to the U.S. with the support of their respective families. A few days later, I received an unexpected call from Michael on my cell phone. Susan, what's going on? When I returned home, I couldn't open the apartment door at all. Moreover, there's a tag on the door saying vacant. What's happening? Michael's voice was a mix of confusion and irritation as he questioned me. Oh, is that so? I terminated that apartment lease. What? How? Disbelief and shock were evident in Michael's voice. The lease was under my name, so how? It is my prerogative, right? I just took action based on my wishes. I took a deep breath and calmly responded. But what about my belongings and important stuff? I've sorted everything out. Most of the things you own didn't have much market value, making it hard to sell to buyers. What? I can't believe this. Michael's voice was trembling with shock and disbelief. You should have everything you need from our trip, right? With that alone, you should be able to get by temporarily. If push comes to shove, you'll have to think about how to survive outside. You must be joking. Susan, where are you right now? I won't give you the exact location, but I'm spending time in a new environment with Thea. I answered with a smile. Wait a minute, Susan. I have your gold card and I want to return it, so I want to meet you. There was a strong sense of pleading in his voice. That card's validity period has already expired, so even if you return it, I can't use it anymore. I replied calmly. To tell you the truth, I purposely left the card in an able state for you. It was part of my plan to burden you with a significant debt after our divorce was finalized. What are you talking about? Divorce? What do you mean by debt? If it's proven in court that you used my credit card without permission for large purchases, it will likely be quickly acknowledged when I request a divorce. I can't believe it. I never thought of divorce. Right now, I don't have a place to live or funds. I don't know how I'm going to make a living. That's not my problem. I plan to raise Thea on my own from now on. I'm building a new life towards that goal. Wait, Susan, please listen to me till the end. I'm truly sorry and I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely don't want a divorce. Although I could sense Michael's desperation, I calmly hung up the phone. Maran seemed to be in a similar situation, appearing to have lost her place and was in turmoil. Vince, where are you right now? My key to the apartment isn't working. I don't know how I'm supposed to spend the night. Please do something, Marin pleaded with a tone of despair. I've already let go of that apartment. Our relationship ends here. Any future correspondence will be through lawyers. It's best this way. Don't contact me directly anymore. Goodbye. Wait, Vince, please just hear one thing. My involvement with Michael was only due to his persistent invitations. The only one I truly love is you. For that matter, you seemed pretty happy entering his room during the trip. Seeing you smiling and talking with Michael deeply hurt me. I feel I no longer want to be involved with someone who could do such things. After that, Marin was completely cut off from Vince, losing all means to contact him. A few weeks later, after consulting with professionals, I decided to divorce Michael. The process went smoothly. I carefully wrote and sent letters to both Michael and Marin, demanding appropriate compensation. Michael was also strongly demanded to return the full amount he had spent with the unauthorized use of the credit card. Vince proceeded with a procedure to end his marriage with Marin and later formally demanded a consolation payment from both Michael and Marin. Distraught, Michael and Marin looked for a new place to live and began their life in an old apartment that was about 40 years old. Michael searched for new job opportunities every day but couldn't immediately find one. However, he desperately made a living with day labor jobs like construction sites and helping with moving. Marin also looked for work to support their life, but having been at home for a long time, it was hard to immediately find a good job. Eventually, Marin took on a night job. The establishment was located in the downtown entertainment district and was known for attracting many male customers. Knowing this, Michael was deeply concerned about her safety and strongly urged Marin to avoid direct contact with the male patrons. Michael didn't fully understand the nature of Marin's job, and his mind was filled with anxiety and doubts. Didn't you also work as a bartender in the past, serving drinks and chatting? It's no different, she argued, reflecting on her past and confronting Michael. This argument resulted in a significant misunderstanding, and the once-loving couple chose different paths. They both became mentally and physically exhausted, forced into a financially difficult life. On the other hand, I acquired rights as Thea's parent and chose the path of a single mother. This decision wasn't easy, but it was necessary for Thea and for my own future. I receive support at work, can take maternity leave, and in an environment where I can raise Thea with peace of mind. My superiors and colleagues are understanding, often offering advice and support. When I return to work, I plan to place Thea in childcare and also get support from my mother to get through daily life. Currently, Thea is growing healthfully and energetically every day. Seeing her smile and growth is my daily motivation. I continue to lead a peaceful life, taking Thea on stroller walks in the park and interacting with other mothers. These park walks also serve as healing moments for both of us. Life has its challenges, but I intend to fully cherish these valuable times with Thea.